Imagine being a football manager who, instead of shouting at his players to get his message across, would show up massive whiteboards.
Moriyasu è un mito, è stato emozionante vederlo piangere sull'inno nazionale.
Game later on, Hajime Moriyasu suddenly started holding up whiteboards, showing numbers 3, then 2, then 1, and everyone assumed he was simply reminding the players how many minutes were left in the game. But that theory doesn't really make sense.
¿Quién es Hajime Moriyasu, el hombre que transformó a Japón? Nació el 23 de agosto de 1968 en la prefectura de...
ワールドカップ初戦、強豪オランダとの一戦を前に、日本代表の森保一監督が見せたある姿が、今世界中の心を動かしています。それは、国歌、君が代の斉唱中に、目に涙を浮かべ、唇を震わせる指揮官の表情でした。
No, Moriyasu è un mito assoluto, a parte che è stato emozionante vederlo piangere sull'inno nazionale. Quando vedi una persona piangere sull'inno nazionale significa che sente veramente il valore di essere il CT della nazionale, della patria, ed è stato emozionante. Poi Moriyasu ha trovato un modo tutto suo per comunicare con la squadra durante la partita. I giapponesi sono sempre avanti, a volte lo sono tecnologicamente, a volte lo sono nella cultura e nell'educazione. Anche ieri, manco a dirlo, puliti gli spogliatoi, puliti gli spalti dai tifosi, gli spalti dai giocatori, gli spogliatoi, ha lasciato tutto pulito, ma a volte per essere avanti bisogna anche un po' tornare indietro. Allora Moriyasu per comunicare con la squadra ha utilizzato delle lavagnette, delle enormi lavagne con dei numeri disegnati sopra da 1 a 5 legati a degli schemi evidentemente, quindi non so, magari il 2 era aumentare la pressione, il 3 era abbassarsi, una lavagnetta era 4-5, quindi vai a sapere qual era poi l'indicazione tattica, ma un modo molto efficace per codificare le indicazioni per i suoi giocatori da parte del CT giapponese.
I think Japan just discovered the World Cup's next tactical loophole, and in the Japan-Netherlands game, everyone was there to see it. With Japan chasing the game late on, Hajime Moriyasu suddenly started holding up whiteboards, showing numbers 3, then 2, then 1, and everyone assumed he was simply reminding the players how many minutes were left of the game. But that theory doesn't really make sense, because everyone on the Dallas Stadium could see the clock on the scoreboard. So what if those numbers meant something completely different? In the NFL, coaches use sideline signals because 70,000 fans make verbal instructions almost impossible to hear. And this looked incredibly similar. Instead of shouting tactical changes across a deafening stadium, a single number could instantly trigger a pre-planned system or formation or pressing pattern that the squad has already rehearsed before the match. It's simple, impossible to mishear, and visible from anywhere on the pitch. And just moments later, Japan found their equalizer. The really interesting part is that football has never really seen something like this before. IFAB's laws are strict when it comes to electronic communication, but old school numbered whiteboards sit in a strange grey area that isn't really clearly addressed. One thing's for certain, every analyst at this World Cup will be watching Japan's bench very closely next game.
¿Quién es Hajime Moriyasu, el hombre que transformó a Japón? Nació el 23 de agosto de 1968 en la prefectura de Shizuoka. Tras una larga trayectoria como futbolista en su país, con 4 años en la selección incluida y hasta una prueba en el Manchester United de Sir Alex Ferguson, en 2012 se hizo cargo del Sanfrecce Hiroshima. Allí tuvo su pico en 2015 con título local incluido y clasificación al Mundial de Clubes, donde enfrentó y le plantó cara al River de Marcelo Gallardo, que finalmente se impuso 1-0 con gol de Lucas Alario. Su buen trabajo le sirvió para regresar a la selección, pero esta vez como técnico de la Sub-23 y ayudante de Akira Nishino en el Mundial de 2018. En Rusia cayeron en octavos ante Bélgica, pero su equipo le fue muy bien en los Juegos Olímpicos al terminar en el 4º lugar. Ante la renuncia de Nishino en 2018, la federación apostó por él para darle continuidad a la Visión 2050, proyecto que tiene el país asiático para conquistar un mundial antes de ese año. En 2022 su selección vivió una mezcla de sensaciones entre la euforia y la decepción, pero allí se marcó un punto de quiebre. Antes de continuar, si te está gustando esta historia, por favor seguinos, que así nos ayudas mucho. Ganaron un grupo muy complejo, venciendo a la tetracampeona del mundo Alemania y a la España de Luis Enrique, pero cayeron en octavos de final por penales ante Croacia. Él se mostró como un técnico muy intervencionista, con cambios que modificaron drásticamente los partidos. Tras su participación en Qatar, su selección siguió creciendo, con un 3-4-3 que potencia lo mejor de sus jugadores, explotando su velocidad por las bandas, pero sin necesidad de tirar centros sin sentido. Consiguió históricas victorias ante Alemania y Brasil, o este 2026 ante Escocia e Inglaterra, ambas en suelo británico. Llegaron al Mundial llenos de confianza tras arrasar en su grupo de eliminatorias y se mostraron firmes y de igual a igual ante Países Bajos en el debut, consiguiendo un importante empate para sus aspiraciones. ¿Hasta dónde crees que llegan?
I'm starting to fall in love with this Japanese team. I'm starting to fall in love with the Japanese fans. I'm starting to fall in love with the example they set as a footballing nation. This love affair started before a ball had even been kicked at this year's World Cup, when the Japanese manager broke down in tears whilst listening to the Japanese national anthem. Then, after the tragic news of their captain Wataru Endo being injured and unable to partake in any of the World Cup, thus retiring from international football for good, they got his number 6 shirt, put it on a coat hanger and hung it off the bench for the entire game against the Netherlands. Then, after that game had finished, this is how the Japanese squad, the players, the coaching staff, left the changing room. Absolutely spotless. And it wasn't just the players that did their bit, because the fans in every single row of where they were seated went down those rows and put all the rubbish into bin bags. And of course, this is nothing new. Japan are now famous for this kind of behaviour. And in a day and age where role models are hard to come by in sport, you look at these lads in regards to passion, respect, ethics. It's just all there. This is the kind of example you want your kids to see. Fair play to Japan and good luck in the rest of the tournament.
Imagine being a football manager who, instead of shouting at his players to get his message across, would show up massive whiteboards throughout the entire game, which led to his team scoring in the 90th minute. Well, this is the story of the Japan manager's whiteboard tactics against the Netherlands. And before we get into this story, consider following for more. So in the early stages of the Japan versus Netherlands match last night, Hajime Moriyasu, the Japan manager, would be caught on camera writing down tactics on his notepad. And this is something that we see all of the world-class elite managers do throughout a match. But Moriyasu, he decided to write on something else to get his tactics across. And that thing would be massive whiteboards. And this would look incredibly bizarre. But what did we discover from this? That was Japan had rehearsed plays and tactics based on the scenario that was happening on the pitch. Tactic number 1 was spotted from the assistant manager. They had a tactic number 2 as well. And at this point, I thought that would be it. But then I saw a number 45. So are you telling me that Moriyasu has 45 rehearsed tactics for his team? That level of detail is ridiculous if it's true. 45! But in conclusion to this video, these detailed whiteboard tactics would end up pulling off. Because in the last moments of this match, Japan would find a late equaliser, which means their insane unbeaten run would continue. But I, for one, have never seen a manager do this before.
Japan has to be the most creative nation in the world. And the blue lock is actually a real thing. Because you're telling me, during the match between Netherlands yesterday where it was 2-2, the manager was seen giving tactical decisions, tactical calls, using a whiteboard during the match. As you guys can see, cameras caught Japan's coach Hajime Moriyasu giving instructions to his players using a whiteboard filled with numbers. Japan appeared to have several plays and tactical systems coded by numbers, possibly to surprise the opponents and keep the instructions hidden. This is crazy. It's the most smartest thing we've seen coming out of the World Cup. Numbers that have codes of instructions. And yes, we also got that legendary meme coming out of the manager taking notes on his pen, as he did back in 2022 against Spain, and he done it against Netherlands. This manager has so much aura, no cap.
And there's the Japan coach taking notes just like at the 2022 World Cup, though his assistant today looks a little different.
No idea who that is.
His face looks awfully familiar.
Now he's offering him an apple.
No, not the moment to eat.
Makes sense. It's a very important match for Japan.